The plot breaks. I'm not kidding. If this happens, the entire plot shatters. What's up, guys? I'm Hunter, and here we are to talk about what if, a fat, hefty what if that I thought of recently. What would have happened if Gojo helped Megumi master the 10 Shadows? Now, here's the thing. There are multiple points in the narrative where this can occur, and ironically enough, no matter what, it causes issues, but ironically enough, it's positive issues. You know what I'm saying? Usually whenever I do what ifs like these, if I do something like this major, it usually ends up having drastic negative effects on the narrative. Or, usually, sometimes it's positive. Usually I take my what ifs in a positive spin, but sometimes they're very, very negative. And this one is negative towards the continuity and the simple structure of the story. Yeah, Gojo just giving Megumi full mastery of the 10 Shadows is something that I thought of when I was rereading Shibuya. Notably, when you go back to chapter 100 and something teen, Sukuna realized that, okay. So this is what's going on. I see what's happening here. He says, hold on, allow me to pull up the quote myself to make sure I am not making a drastic error. I believe it's 116. Let me see. Not 116. I believe it's 117. All right, let's take a look. So, when Megumi is running low on that curse at Shibuya, he's like, forget it. Haruto's about to pipe me up. I might as well make it a 2-for-1 special. And he drops a big Papa Maharaga. And now, notably, I thought before this moment, and up until recently, that Megumi himself had to be the one to defeat the curses in order to get them under control. And that's why, something like Maharaga never got under control, because it was always just the 10 Shadows user with whatever Shikigami it could use against Big Papa Maharaga, but Big Papa Maharaga is Big Papa Maharaga. But we see that Sukuna notices something. When he arrives and actually saves Haruto's life from Maharaga, he's like, a state of suspended perishing. I see. I knew it was a good idea to save this piece of trash. He was most likely dragged into an exorcism ritual. If this trash is slain, that's the end of the ritual. Megumi Fushiguro will perish as well. Don't perish. There's something I need you to do. So, here's the thing. I didn't even think about this, but it's implied here that Megumi can bring other people into the exorcism ritual. That is something he can do. And if there are multiple people in the ritual, Megumi won't actually perish, even though realistically that first one hit from Maharaga to the dome piece should have got him up out of here. And that's interesting, because it means that at any point in the series, even before the series started, Gojo could have helped Megumi master the 10 Shadows. Specifically, he could have just won against all of them. If Maharaga, which is seemingly enough the ultimate of the 10 Shadows, we don't know about the 10th Shadow, though there's some discrepancy on whether or not the 2 divine dogs count as individual shadows, and then we've already seen all 10. I don't know. It's very, very weird. I think there's still one more. I don't know. On the wiki, they're listed as one, but I'm not sure if we can trust the wiki, because I don't trust the wiki for everything. It's just good for general information. But here's the thing. With that being the case, it's not just Maharaga that gets unlocked. Maharaga's the big one. Maharaga's the big plot-breaking one. But, Megumi having a bunch of Shikigami early is kind of devastating to the plot. But here's the thing. You may be wondering, okay, nice idea, but what prompted this? What would cause Gojo in narrative to do this? And pre-narrative, I think we can't let that happen, mainly because it's something I'm going to cover in a second. But pre-narrative, I could see it literally happening because Gojo's like, okay, Megumi, you're about to become a Jujutsu sorcerer. That's a very dangerous line of work. I think it's better to be safe than sorry, and let's just take care of it. I know everything about the 10 Shadows technique because of what's passed down to the Gojo clan. I know ain't nobody in creation ever beat Maharaga. Let me hop up in there and run the ones. And considering that at least in the current fight of Gojo versus Sukuna, a giga super duper slopped up Maharaga is still apparently in one-tap territory by Gojo. I 100% believe the Maharaga that spawned in Shibuya, or whatever Maharaga that Megumi would summon here, it drops in front of Gojo, it tries to wild out, hollow purple is done. I don't think any of the Shikigami pose any threat to Gojo. He would literally one-tap all of them. Maharaga may put up a little bit of a fight, a teeny tiny bit of a fight, but Wouldn't be enough. It would absolutely get annihilated by Gojo. But that's the thing. That's the main reason I think that Gojo would even do this, just for concern for Megumi. We know he does still love Megumi, like as basically his son. Like straight up. I'm not sure if it's like legally stated anywhere, but Megumi Fushiguro isn't Megumi's real name. It should be Megumi Gojo, because that is Gojo's kid. And I can literally see Gojo just being like, better safe than sorry. At the same time, I understand why Gojo wouldn't do this in the main narrative, because he wants Megumi to naturally grow to surpass him. Essentially, this would be giving Megumi level 100 stats before his journey even began. And the thing that breaks the plot, if that happens then, is I think, let me double check, I'm going to go all the way back to chapter 2, but I do believe if Megumi has access to all the... But here's the thing, though. It either goes bad in one of two ways. Either one, Sukuna never gets incarnated, because Megumi, the only reason he was put in danger to the point where Yuji was like, I bet, and he just took the finger and was like, ow, scrumdiddlyumptious, was the reason that he didn't have any cursed energy and Megumi couldn't fight properly. But Megumi summons the Tranquil Deer, gets healed up, summons Mahoraga, that curse perishes immediately. So there's that issue, that hypothetically... our boy may just get got before you could even get incarnated. Like, straight up, it could be over in an instant. Or the other major issue is that, let's say all goes according normally. Let's say Megumi opens up with Divine Dogs anyway, right? He opens up with Divine Dogs in chapter 1. He still gets bopped, smacked up, booty whacked everywhere, knocked away. And then Itadori comes in, all that, yada yada. Plot goes exactly the same. Itadori eats the finger, though. Itadori eats the finger. And then what ends up happening is that Megumi... I'm not sure if Megumi was going to use Mahoraga here. I can't 100% tell. I'm trying to skim at the manga real quick. It doesn't look very clear. I don't think he was going to. But to be safe, I don't believe it would be the wisest thing. I think Megumi would drop Mahoraga on Sukuna's head. And then one finger Sukuna loses the Mahoraga. Then Yuji... So I think ultimately, for the just general nature of the plot to work, we cannot give Megumi access to the full 10 shadows that early. If that happens, I don't think Yuji exists anymore. I think Yuji literally gets got. That could be my own misinterpretation of the narrative, but considering how willing Megumi is to drop Mahoraga on randoms, like straight randoms, I'm 100% confident. If he is willing to take the risk of like omega proportions to summon Mahoraga that's out of his control, he'd 100% be down to summon a Mahoraga that's in his control at the first sight of any real danger. And even the King of Curses at one finger would be real danger to Megumi. So let's say it doesn't happen then. It doesn't happen pre-narrative. It happens after this incident, where Gojo's like, okay, things are looking a little bit dicey. Let's see. The King of Curses is incarnated. Let's say it even takes place a little bit further. The King of Curses are reincarnated. There are a bunch of mysterious special grade curses running around. These things are dangerous. These things are getting diabolical. How can we make this work? I think that's the point where we wanna reach into Gojo's back pocket and be like, fine, let's hand out purples to all these curses just to make sure you're safe, Megumi. And couple things don't happen. So the next major fight that happens for Megumi, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, but I got the wiki over right here. The first one is Yuji and Megumi versus the Cursed Spirits. But I believe the second one, no, it's not Hanami. Yeah, I believe it's not versus the Finger Bearer. I think it is legitimately Sukuna. And here's the thing, right? Let's say all goes the same post Nobara's introduction, right? Everything happens normally there. Megumi's not really a major part of Nobara's introduction. As far as I remember, I think that's all a Yuji and Nobara thing. Everything goes fine there. Everything is nice, Gucci, and clean. We hit chapter 9. And what happens in chapter 9? I can tell you, Sukuna pulls up on Megumi. And here's the thing. We see that upon being faced with Sukuna, Megumi summons Nue. But let me tell you what would happen if Megumi instead because Gojo, knowing a situation like this could happen, where Yuji could be taken over by Sukuna, and worst comes to worst, things could go wrong, he gave Megumi full access to the 10 shadows. Instead of Nue, Megumi summons Maharaga, and Megumi tells Maharaga to get rid of Sukuna. Now, I am personally in the camp. Let me take a sip. Let me take a sip before I make this statement, because I know some people are going to find it blasphemous. I think Three Finger Sukuna could put up a good fight. I think he would put up a good fight. Here's the thing, right? Sukuna at the end, not the end. Well, realistically, about the end. No, actually, I think it's towards the middle. Let me see. I got 117 open right here, so I can actually double check. I believe Sukuna literally says, oh, if it was the me from back then, maybe that thing could have got me. So I do 100% believe that if Megumi gets dropped and he pulls out Maharaga, I think Sukuna just straight loses. Like, I think, and Yuji's gonna go. Yuji's gonna go as a byproduct, because if Sukuna ends up perishing while in control of the body, then Yuji's gonna end up perishing. It's that dual contract. And if Yuji goes, plot can't happen. Like, legit, like the whole, like the domino effects of this are just, and like if Yuji perishes here permanently, mind you, because he does perish a little bit, but like Yuji perishes is here, we don't have a main character 9 chapters in, or 10, because you know the fight between does it continue? Oh no, maybe it doesn't. Does it really not? Does it really? And I forgot. I need to reread early JJK more in depth. Yeah, it does end. So in chapter 9, we lose Yuji permanently, because Sukuna would just get annihilated. Like, I think Sukuna would just straight up lose to Maharaga. I want to take his word. I'll take Sukuna's word in saying that he put up a good fight, but I don't think Three Finger Sukuna has the stats. Especially if, here's the thing, it's even worse if you go with the idea that Maharaga actually doesn't get stronger. I'm personally in the camp that Maharaga is like all other Shikigami, and the more curse energy you put behind him, the stronger it'll be. But if you want to go with the common idea that Maharaga is the one Shikigami that's exclusively not getting any amps from the respective user that wields it, that means that Maharaga that would get dropped on this Three Finger Sukuna would be the same Maharaga that's getting dropped by 20 Finger Sukuna. I don't think I need to explain to you why Three Finger Sukuna loses that fight. And here's the thing. That's once again being super duper generous and just assuming that Gojo does it there. And let's go with that timeline, because I think any later in the narrative is kind of weird. Like, maybe you could say he does it after Yuji's perishing, and then here's the thing. Let's talk about this timeline first. We'll talk about this timeline first, because it kind of, ironically enough, I think it's, despite the loss of Yuji, I think it actually is a better timeline. Because here's the thing. Sukuna is taken out of the narrative. Or at least 3 fingers of Sukuna are taken out of the narrative at that point. The other 17 fingers exist. So unfortunately, 20 fingers Sukuna could never res. At max, you would get 18 fingers Sukuna through the 17 fingers that are left over, plus the money. But no appropriate vessel for Sukuna exists at that point. Maybe you could argue Kinjaku knows that Megumi would be a vessel, but unfortunately, without certain events playing out as they should play out, with the absence of Yuji, I don't think there's ever a point where Megumi's soul breaks. And then that means Megumi would just end up as another cage for Sukuna. And if Megumi ends up as another cage for Sukuna, Sukuna's never coming out. Because there's literally, in the entire series, let's just jokingly pretend that every other fight happens normally, as it should for Megumi. I'm just going to go through the wiki and explain how every single thing that Megumi has fought in the entire series loses to Maharaga. Because that's really the thing. I'm just going to go. The J1. Jujutsu Sorcerers versus Dagon. If 15 Finger Sukuna thinks he'd get one-tapped by Maharaga's RCT blade, and Maharaga's able to tag 15 Finger Sukuna, while Jogo, arguably the fastest of the disaster curses with massive AoE attacks, couldn't even tag 15 Finger Sukuna once, then yeah, Maharaga's literally going to swing on Dagon, and Dagon's going to whoop. That fight over in an instant. Maybe you'd argue that... Here's the thing, though. if Megumi strolls up on the domain, he can still just summon Maharaga and have Maharaga poke it, and then that would still break it. Like, that's the thing. Because one issue that happens in this timeline in particular is that Megumi never has a reason to awaken his domain. Never. Because the main reason he awoke his domain in the fight against the, which bridge curse? Yasuhachi Bridge. The reason he awakens it then is because he's like, he has no other options. He needs to while out this last time. And for some reason, he doesn't feel like summoning Maharaga in that moment. He's the one that, well, actually, no, he was about to. But then he went down the path of domain because he was like, might as well try this out since I'm on the verge anyway. But if he has Maharaga, then he's no reason to while out on that curse with his domain. So he doesn't have a domain. But here's the thing. No offense to the incomplete Chimera Shadow Garden, but Maharaga is better than it in literally every single way. So for the Jujutsu Sorcerer versus Dagon, literally a one-tap. Maharaga either pokes the spear, because Megumi has not developed a domain with the presence of Maharaga in the narrative. He either pops the spear with a little pierce of the sword, or even summons Tranquil Deer, and Tranquil Deer just bumps the sword. Not bumps the sword. Hey, have it double team the barrier, but literally taps the barrier and then boop, because the RCT leaking from it breaks out. Megumi and Maki versus Hanami. Hanami literally gets one tap once again. Here's the thing, Hanami's super duper bulky, but it's still a cursed spirit. So all it takes is that one juicy schmack from Maharaga, and then boom, Hanami's done. Megumi Fushiguro and Panda versus Kirara Hoshi. Maybe. It'd be super hard to argue that in this timeline the Culling games still happen. No, I guess it's not impossible. It's not impossible. Yeah, it isn't necessarily impossible to argue that the Culling games still happen in this timeline, just with no Yuji. So that'd be a little concerning. Yeah, that'd be weird. I'm not sure how the Culling games are going to work out here. But presumably, we'll just cover all the fights, and my Maharaga just raffle stomps all of them. Do you really want to see what happens when Maharaga goes up against Kirara? Is it 3 Ra's? Kirara. I always say Kirara. I don't know where I get the 3rd Ra from. But yeah, obviously, you probably don't even need, I'll be completely real, you probably don't even need Maharaga for that fight. Just summon the Piercing Bull and let it run at her. Like straight up let it run at her. And see if her curse technique can hold up against that thing, just consistently gaining power as it runs in place. Like, it would probably just get closer and closer and closer and then shatter the technique. For Megumi versus Toto. Toto may just, well, actually, no. Here's the thing. By the specific context of that fight, since I don't think Megumi would willingly drop Maharaga, I think Inumaki and Panda do show up in time to save Toto's life. Because Toto loses to any of the high-level Shikigami. If he loses the Piercing Bull, he's going to lose to Maharaga, especially. It's as simple as that. Megumi Fushiguro versus the Finger Bearer. Once again, Finger Bearer just doesn't get to do anything. Just gets absolutely annihilated. No domain. Doesn't get annihilated by domain, but Maharaga comes in, goes, and then absolutely annihilates. The Finger Bearer curse. Megumi versus Kamo, he wouldn't be dropping Max Elephant. He'd be dropping either A, the Piercing Bull, or B, Maharaga. I'm sorry, I know I'm immediately going to Maharaga, but that's the big thing. That's the major thing. Because notably, we can't say that any of Megumi's other Shikigami get any massive amps. We can just go with Maharaga, and Maharaga is the one he'd probably be resorting to the most because now it's his. Now the mastery in knowing how to use Maharaga properly is on him. So he'd probably be spamming it like he was spamming Divine Dogs, like he was spamming Niue, like he was spamming Max Elephant. Maharaga would probably end up being the first button instead of the panic button, like it usually is. Megumi versus Reggie Star. You look at me. You look at me. You look at me. And tell me how Reggie does against Maharaga. Oh my lord, can you imagine? Reggie's like, oh no, this thing's so powerful. I'm gonna pull up my trump card. It tries to drop a house on Maharaga, and Maharaga just catches it. It's like, boss man, this one? You want me to annihilate this one? Yeah. Him and his crew are annoying. I bet, boss man. He just throws the house at Reggie. Reggie gets absolutely annihilated. And even Reggie Star's group, it gets horrible. Like, I don't even think Takaba would need to appear. It really depends on if you go with that popular fan theory that Takaba's the reason Gojo didn't get erased by the destruction of the prison realm. But I do think that was a mistranslation. I believed that Gojo actually would have been erased, but Takaba saved him. Believe that for a little while, but I think I heard that was a mistranslation. Like, the prison realm wasn't actually supposed to destroy Gojo. So I think that's fine. So talk about getting sacked there is fine, but yeah, Reggie's group loses to Megumi horribly. Like he literally has a Shikigami for every one of them. Just send piercing bull at one of them. He can literally send Nue after the claw guy like he does in canon. Send piercing bull after Hazanoki, and Hazanoki tries to detonate it and watches as it casually tears through him, and then Megumi just watches as Mahoraga tears Reggie limb from limb. Then we already covered Megumi Fushiguro versus Three Finger Sukuna, absolutely wiped. Megumi versus Toji may not even happen. I mean, maybe it can happen. Maybe it can happen, but it'd be such a tight window that I don't think it would work out. I think it would be avoided somehow. And unfortunately, without Inverted Spear of Heaven, I don't think Toji's beating Mahoraga to death. I just don't. I don't think Toji has enough raw AP to beat Mahoraga, even with, or stab Mahoraga for that matter, with Playful Cloud. I don't see that happening. If that scenario even ends up occurring, because Mahoraga has stabbed Dagna's domain early and they may have left. But even then, if they may have left, Toji may still show up, but then I don't think Toji's beating Mahoraga. It's just not happening. We already covered the Bridge Curse, and then we already talked about Hanami getting absolutely wiped, insanely wiped. And that's it. Those are all of Megumi's fights in the narrative. They all get wiped by Mahoraga. You see why this didn't happen? Like, this is the thing that I think Gege slid into the narrative to let us know, oh yeah, it could be. But it's mainly for, like, character work. The reason Gojo didn't do it is because he expects Megumi to surpass him naturally. And the reason Megumi wouldn't ask for it is because, Megumi, he has a pride of his own. That's fine. That's good. But, once again, remember, this is a timeline where Yuji's gone. Like, Yuji's just executed. So let's delay it even more. Let's say after the loss of Yuji, after Gojo hears bring, yeah, boss man, Yuji's packed. Let's say, for the sake of argument, Yuji, we get past that point. And then Gojo's like, okay, first mission, you revive the King of Curses. Second mission, you nearly perish to the King of Curses. You lose 2 Shikigami. I'm not sure. Well, not 2. I think he only loses the 1. You lose a Shikigami. Okay. Just for safety's sake, now we're going to hook you up. We're going to slide you that good sauce. Everything happens the same. The thing is, though, I'm trying to think. Actually, that could lead to a weird scenario, because the way the story plays out after that point, Megumi still likely doesn't get domain. He likely still does not get domain, because if he goes to the bridge and then fights the finger bearer, he's going to have Mahoraga at that point, and whoop, that's a wipe. But then you get to Shibuya, and Yuji's still alive. And we know in Shibuya, everyone splits up, and Megumi and Yuji versus Awasaka happens, but that's not going to matter. Mahoraga comes out, whoop, and then that's done. But the main point of interest is 15 Finger. But then again, does it even get to that point? Because the reason Megumi was so pressed by Haruto at that point is because he had burned a whole bunch of curse energy on Domain and spamming Shikigami and fighting against Dagon and fighting against Toad. Like, he was just dropping them left, right. So he was super duper low on energy. If I'm not mistaken, let me double check. Your boy's got to fact check himself. But if that's the case, and in this world, in this timeline, Megumi isn't that fatigued because he's just been running around on Mahoraga's shoulders. Like, he's just been like, Mahoraga, get that guy. It's just, Mahoraga's just been carrying his little son around on his shoulders, being like, yeah, don't worry. I'll keep you safe, Megumi. Then, you run into this interesting scenario where Haruto can't do nothing. Like, Haruto specifically, I'm in 114. And Megumi is in pain because he just got, pieced by his father, plus running low on a bunch of cursed energy. And then we see Haruto sneaks him. But in this timeline, I don't think Megumi's even outside with Toji. Like, I think they're still inside. And then, in this timeline, I think it's Jogo versus Mahoraga, and Jogo gets one-tapped. And then, here's the thing, though. Nanami... but that's interesting, though, because then Nanami's still going to be alive. Nanami's still going to be definitively alive, because he won't even get burned by Jogo in that timeline. Nobito's still going to be alive, but the arm's probably gone by that point, because by the time Megumi arrives, it's still too late. The arm, it's going to cost him. It cost Dagon his life. He's gone. And Maki's fine. Like, she has some damage from the Dagon fight, but she doesn't get burned, or she doesn't get toasted up by Jogo, and Jogo gets one-tapped. And if Jogo gets one-tapped, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Hold on. If Jogo gets one tap there, then he can't take the rest of the fingers to Sukuna, and then they're gonna recover the rest of the Sukuna fingers off of Jogo's body. Uh-oh. I think the plot breaks again. I just realized this. I think the plot breaks again, because if Jogo gets one tap by Mahoraga, and Toji loses to Mahoraga, as expected, then they're gonna find, oh, the rest of the 10 fingers are here. They're going to feel that that one finger was given to Yuji. They're probably gonna sense it, be released, look, and be like, whoa, wait a minute, a finger got taken to Yuji. Then they're probably gonna go run up to Yuji. Notably, Yuji is actually still alive. I think that's a little bit of a misconception that takes place in that scenario. I believe some people think Yuji's actually gone, but I think he is just straight up on the verge. Like, he's about to perish, but he is still able to swallow. Like he is able to. His gag reflex is still active. Hold on, let me see what Gojo says, or Gege says at the end of the chapter. Apparently, it's difficult to force feed someone who's sleeping. Something to do with phleregonal reflex. So yeah, so Yuji's just out. Choso thought he got him, but right on the verge, as Yuji was perishing, Choso realized, oh wait, that's my bro. So he let Yuji live. So without Jogo going to feed Yuji, then the Ghetto's kids, they're going to go feed Yuji the finger, but it's not going to do anything. Remember, the only reason that feeding Yuji 10 fingers let Sukuna take over in that moment was specifically because of how things were going, to the point where it was such an overwhelming amount of Sukuna. If Yuji was fed over one day, then it would have been fine. And thusly, just one finger, which is all the sisters had, or even 2 fingers if they took him to the second finger, that wouldn't have been enough. And thusly, Sukuna never manifests, meaning Itadori's Shibuya guilt never happens. And we miss a whole bunch of character development. And he also doesn't get healed in time for the Mahito fight. But then, here's the thing. They find out that Yuji's, or a finger gets released. Nanami, who's still, I mean, he's damaged, but he's not too damaged. Well, actually, no, I think he was missing an eye. Was he missing an eye already? By the time of that fight? Hold on, let me see. Was he missing an eye? Or does that happen later? I can't tell. Hold on, let me see. If he stabs Dagon. Okay, yeah, so Nanami's already missing an eye. So he is going to need some healing. But Nobito with one arm, Makyu's battle damaged, and Nanami who's eyeless, and along with Megumi who's riding on Mahoraga's shoulders, they all rush over to Yuji. The girls, I guess you could argue they try to put up a fight. They're probably going to be arrested because, you know, they were at the night parade of 100 demons. So they're probably going to get arrested, but I don't think they're going to get executed. They're no threat to this group, especially now with Mahoraga. Chad walking around everywhere. Like, that's not going to bother them. And then what's going to end up happening is that they recover Yuji. They realize Gojo's pretty much a lost cause. Like that's just straight up not going to happen. And then they're probably going to take Yuji right back to Shoko. Take Nanami to Shoko. Take poor Nobito to Shoko. Shoko's not going to be able to do much for Nobito. But at least Maki and Nanami can likely get healed up. And then they run back into battle, slay a whole bunch of transfigured humans. And then once Itadori's back up after getting healed by Shoko, I think we may still accidentally lead to Mahito versus Yuji and Nobara running into Mahito. But unlike before, I don't think Yuji's going to be fighting Mahito alone. He's either going to be fighting with healed Nanami plus Nobito plus Maki, or he's just double teaming him with Megumi and Mahoraga one taps Mahito. It just keeps happening. Like Mahoraga just runs in, one taps Mahito. Mahito's not a threat anymore. I think Nobara lives. So there we go. Positive timeline for the Nobara fans, because I don't think the fight lasts long enough. I think Mahito, if he gets encountered by the duo of Itadori and Megumi, I think done. You could argue Nobara still ends up getting packed because Mahito finds her first, if there's no distraction of finding Yuji first. But even still, I think the timeline will work out, especially with how fast Mahoraga can move. I think Mahoraga would get him back to Shoko at Megumi's order, get him healed up, get back into the battle. Mahito gets one tap, and then I think they just realize, oh, this is kind of a lost cause. However, we do know, never mind, the Killing Games can't happen. I just realized the Killing Games can't happen. Because if Mahito gets one-tapped in this timeline, which should reasonably happen, unless Itadori specifically goes out of his way to tell Megumi, don't worry, I can take care of Patchface myself. If he does the smart thing, and it just allows Megumi to come with him, with Big Papa Mahoraga, Chad walks up, takes his reverse curse blade, and just boop, taps Mahito out of existence. And then, guess what? With no Mahito, Kinjaku can't do the culling games, because the culling games, well, he can likely still do the culling games, but remember, the whole reason he could activate it is because Idol Transfiguration allowed him to do a mass awakening of culling game players, from people who ingested cursed objects, which allowed previous players like Kashimo, Ryu, and Uro to reincarnate, and also just regular people who are awakened like Takaba and Higuruma. Without Idol Transfiguration, I'm not sure he can do that, at least not as quickly. And thusly, the culling games is going to be delayed for a bit, if it can even happen without Mahito. Because remember, Mahito's existence is actually super pivotal to Kinjaku's plan. I love Kinjaku, I think he's one of the smartest New Gen villains, but I'm going to make a whole video talking about how his plan is like super duper lucky. So with this being the case, no Maharaga. Well, no, with Maharaga, Mahito gets one tap, and no Mahito means nothing ends up happening with Kinjaku in the culling games just yet, and then Kinjaku kind of just escapes with Gojo, and they have to, and then it be, instead of the culling games, or maybe the culling games, it ends up turning into a Hunt Gojo fest. And here's the thing. Well, no, I think they would still need to seek out Angel. That's the thing now, because they don't have anyone else who could just negate the technique. Because if you could just negate it through RCT, they would just need to get the Prison Realm to Shoko. But they need to get the Prison Realm. Oh, actually, the thing is, though, the biggest issue that we have here is getting Gojo the Prison Realm still. And it seems that the only way they can do that, considering in this timeline, regardless of whether or not Megumi has the 10 Shadows, the Inverted Spear of Heaven is still destroyed, and Miguel's Black Robe is also done. They need Angel. So if Angel doesn't get rezzed, but then again, did Angel even need to be rezzed? Now that I think about it, did Angel need to be? Was that a thing that was that? Was Angel a natural resurrection? If Angel was a natural resurrection, then Gucci. Hold on, let me double check. Now I'm a little bit intrigued, because if Angel isn't a natural resurrection, maybe Kinjaku just never wakes Angel up. Because then what Kinjaku can do, if he doesn't think the culling games will work now, and he thinks Sukuna's sort of a bust that he can't really keep for right now, since Itadori is just going to hold Sukuna till he goes, and they have the 10 fingers, so they can just keep feeding Itadori Sukuna over time, so Sukuna never overwhelms him, then Kinjaku could just leave. He could just straight up disappear. He could straight up disappear with the Prison Realm, because the Prison Realm doesn't have a time limit on it. The only reason it broke is because, but then again, it's a weird question. Could Maharaga adapt and destroy the Prison Realm? Could he? Could Maharaga fix the plot in that way too? Because the thing is, if Angel doesn't get rezzed through the lack of Mahito in this timeline, then they have no way to open the Prison Realm. Even with the back from Tengen. They have no way to open the Prison Realm. But at the same time, there are no culling games. So if Kinjaku ever did come to try and take Tengen earlier on, but then again, without the culling games, he can't even do the merger. So he may just wait. And that's the 50-50 of this timeline. If you think that Maharaga or Angel through a natural resurrection, or even a Kinjaku just not thinking, which may have happened in the original timeline, not thinking allows Angel to res, and thusly they can find Angel, get the not reverse curse technique, the Jacob's Ladder, and free Gojo. Then, without Sukuna there, if Gojo somehow gets free in this timeline through Megumi Maharaga madness, somehow like that, then maybe we're cooked. Maybe Kinjaku's cooked, because then Gojo will just teleport to him. But the other major question is, with Megumi's mastery, does Sukuna do the Enchain quicker? Does he do it earlier? But then again, no, he literally can't. That's the thing. Sukuna can never actually do Enchain into Megumi Wombo combo without Megumi's soul breaking. And without Nobara going, with hope of Gojo being freed, with Big Daddy Maharaga on speed dial, like who knows how quickly Maharaga can be summoned after Megumi getting used to doing the thing every single fight he's been in. I think if Sukuna tries to, like, let's say over the time period while they're waiting, trying to figure out how to free Gojo through the back of the Prison Realm, say one by one, they're feeding Itadori the fingers, and Sukuna's just getting more and more hench. He's getting more and more juicy up inside Itadori. He goes in chain, he yells it out, he slides, rolls up, boop. Megumi, ow. His soul is still intact. Now Megumi just has all Sukuna's excess cursed energy. And it's just now with the new cage, and now Itadori's free. Like, there's no way Sukuna wins. Kinjaku doesn't win. And the culling games may not even happen. The darkest variation of this timeline is Kinjaku just runs away with the prison realm, and without Angel being rezzed due to her being rezzed by Kinjaku somehow, then story ends because they'll never free Gojo. But then again, if they can find Kinjaku, I think all of them together with Daddy Maharaga could beat Kinjaku. I think that is the thing that could happen. I think Maharaga, especially if, but then again, does Maki even get her awakening in this timeline? Because she has no need to, I guess, right? Well, maybe she does. Maybe they still go send her to get the cursed tools and the Zenin clan gets wiped out. Maybe that still happens. But even without awakened Maki, I don't think Yuta could beat Kinjaku in a one-on-one. But I think Yuta plus Megumi Maharaga plus Liberated, or even just regular post Shibuya, well, then again, I'm not sure if Demon God Yuji would even happen. But even regular Yuji plus Yuki Tsukumo plus Choso plus everybody essentially versus Kinjaku, I think Kinjaku's going to take the L on that one, even with Urume backing him up. So I think this is just a brighter timeline. If Gojo just pre-prepped and gave Megumi all the tools he had available earlier on through the loophole in the exorcism ritual, where the Shikigami can be tamed with the help of another as long as they're included in the start of the ritual, I think the whole series kind of just gets better. No, realistically, I mean, you lose Yuji in some timelines, or you lose Nobara in some timelines. But I think the cost-benefit analysis there works out in favor. Many more characters get to stay alive, many more characters get to stay safe, and many more villains just get dropped just like that. So overall, I think this is kind of a bright timeline. However, that's what I think. Do you guys think I went too shy with this? Do you guys think I should like try and actually plot this out and write a whole what if and see if I can like properly get into it in multiple parts? Do you guys think there are differences in the timeline that would occur from this? Please let me know all that and more in the comment section down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Make sure the little notification bell so you do not miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a Patreon down below where you can support me for as well as $1 a month. You get things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You also now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Now, thank you guys so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That Guy with the Pencil, writing off. I'd like to give a very big thank you to our $3 members, Recliner Plays and Red Bull 4765. I'd like to give another very big thank you to our $5 patrons, Alex Ice Rose, Art Goon, DemXLND, Midnight Gemlord, Red Bull 4765, and Sean. I'd like to give another very big thank you to our $10 patrons, I Demokami, Joaquin, and Robbie Uchiha. I'd like to give another gargantuan thank you to our $25 member, Alex Ice Rose.